Welcome back to this episode of Grains to Glass. In this episode, it's getting to know your hops using hop teas. Just like we looked at grain teas, we're going to show you how to know which hops to use all the time. Cheers. Good morning, welcome back to Schoolhouse. As you can see, we're back at the shop. And you know, there is nothing like a good, freshly brewed cup of coffee and or tea. And you know, 3 weeks ago, we looked at grain teas. Grain teas are a way for you to get to know your different grains from either specialty grains or your base grains. If you want to watch that video, click it up here. But this week, we're going to be looking at hop teas. Hop teas are a way for you to get to know your flavors and your aromas and some of your bittering factors of the grain, of the hop just by itself. We're going to look at 3 different ways to do it. One with plain water, one with green tea, and then one with the wort that we made earlier in the videos. So stick with us. Here we go. Let's look at some hops. Cheers. All right, so here we go. There are basically 3 different ways that I think that there are to make hop teas. There's a lot of different methods out there. There's probably 4 or 5 that some people will talk about. Personally, me, I shoot with the 3 top. Now, 2 of them I'm not a huge fan of, but if you just want to do it really quick, get it done with, this is the way to go. Easiest way to do it. First, grab about a liter of water, bring it up to about 180 degrees. You're going to take about an ounce of hops. Yes, you're going to use an ounce for a liter. You're going to put it in there, steep it for about 20 minutes, then strain it, or if you used a muslin bag, toss the hops, then you're going to be able to taste. The downside to that method is you're not going to be able to get a lot of the bittering that you're looking for. We're trying to look for the complete complexity of the hop. Now, that being said, next, tea. Literally tea. Make a good cup of tea, whatever you'd like. I'm a big fan of green teas. They're nice and light, and I think they do play with other floral elements. So when I do this method, and I'm in a rush, we've got brand new hops coming into the shop or something like that, this is the way I do it really quickly. What I do is I take anywhere between 2 ounces and up to a quart of water, depending on how many people are going to be part of this, and we're just going to bring it up to temperature, get it nice and hot, just like before. We're going to dump about 3/4 of an ounce in here, and the reason why is we've got the complexity of the tea. Hops are going to play with whatever it's in. It's just a flavor. It's a bittering. Think of it as a spice. You can taste salt and know what it tastes like, but if you put it on other elements, salt really does play differently. Think of it as these hops as a spice, if you will. Now, my favorite way, and this is the way if you really want to see it all the way through, is you don't have to brew the beer. Like we said earlier, we made some wort. Now, you can make wort as you're brewing. Take a quart off. I like doing that just to have, instead of doing 5-gallon batches, I'll bump it up into Beersmith to 5 3/4 of a gallon. 5 3/4 gallon of wort. And the reason why I do this is I pull some off and I make yeast starters. We did a video on yeast starters a while back. Take a look up top. It's real easy. It'll show you exactly how to make a yeast starter. But I can set some aside for yeast starters. I can also set some aside for hop teas. So what I do is I take just whatever I'm going to be drinking, right? And that could be, like, once again, 2 ounces up to a quart. And I get it up to temperature. I get it up to that first wort level. I don't really want to bring it up to a boil yet, but you can bring it up to a boil and drop it in. Turn it off immediately. Don't keep boiling it, because what we're really doing is almost whirlpool hopping here in a cup of tea. I know it's really not whirlpool hopping. Please put that in the suggestions. I'd love to talk about it. But this is a way to do it. So you get your wort and it's gonna play really well with your spice. What's your spice? Your hop, right? So now we're looking at it with the traditional ingredients. What is one ingredient missing? Yeast. Yeast makes what? Alcohol. If you really want to see how this really does play your spice with that, take just a dash of vodka. Or a little bit more if you had a bad day. But the hop itself will play with the alcohol, will play with that malt. And you'll see the complexity of them. We're doing this at our home brew club. These videos that we're producing, please, please, please share out to your home brew club and literally talk about this. Do this at your shops, do this at your home brew clubs, and really have some ideas, because there's so many new hops out there. I mean, this week we're doing it again at our home brew shop, our home brew club, and we're gonna be looking at stuff like Yarlow, Calypso, Lemon Drop, experimental hops that are out there. There's a lot of things out there that you can play with. Now, believe it or not, there's some medicinal attributes to hops. Many of you know that hops and cannabis are cousins, as many people will say. And what does that mean is they have a lot of the same attributes. Believe it or not, drinking a little bit of hop tea before you go to bed will help you sleep. Apothecaries back in the 1600s started using hops in people's pillows for them to get a better night's sleep. I know that sounds crazy, but try it. I promise you it'll work. So let me show you how to do this really quick. Okay, for my visual learners, we're going to actually make some hop tea for you so you can actually see it. Now, I'm not a huge measurer when it comes to this. It's not real rocket science to me. I think all I'm trying to do is get the information that I'm looking for. Not so much as when we were doing the grains, because you definitely want to know what a 1040 original gravity tastes like. Now, so the first thing I do is, if you don't have one of these, the induction burner. These induction burners are amazing. I love them. They heat up quickly. I use it for, instead of having another burner laying around, I'll use it for my strike waters, my sparge waters, getting them ready. Even if you get them up to temp really close before you drop them in for mashing, and then put them in your mash tun, just a great way to have something around. And it's also just nice to have around another burner. So what I do is I'm taking Pilsner. I'm taking my Pilsner mash, or wort I should say, and once again, this is the same one we did with the Grains of Glass grain teas. If you haven't watched the grain teas, check it out up top. And if you want to learn how to do this also for your yeast starters, we have another video for yeast starters, check it out also. So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn my burner on and I'm going to put my wort in. And you're probably sitting here saying, this is going to take forever. Now, this isn't the most quiet piece of machinery. It uses magnets to actually heat it up. So while it's doing that, we're going to talk about some things that you really need to know about hops. First, they are deadly to canines. If you have a dog, make sure you're very careful about the hops and your dog. I don't want any canines out there getting hurt. So instead of actually adding the hops straight into my wort like I do when I brew, what I'm gonna do is, as it's getting hot, I'm gonna take a muslin sack. You can use a coffee filter if you want. Use a coffee filter, drop them in, then filter it out over top your cup. You got an AeroPress. Use an AeroPress. Whatever you use to strain your teas and or coffee, as long as it's fine enough to get those out. Now, for me, for this amount, it's about a cup, I guess you would say, all I'm going to use is 3 pellets of hop. Yeah, I know, this is a little bit of a waste for a muslin sack for 3 pellets of hops, but I forgot to bring a filter in today, so this is what we're going to use. So I put my 3 pellets in. Actually, it's about 2.5. I'm going to tie it up. I'm going to run it back through so I get a nice, well, actually no. This should be good, because all we're going to do is, once it gets to a boil, which it is right now, yes, it happened that quickly, I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to drop this into my wort. Okay? Then I'm going to turn it off. This is more of like a, let's call it a whirlpool hop, like I said before. I know it's not whirlpool hopping. If you want to put a comment in the bottom about how it's not whirlpool hopping, please do. More comments at the bottom about more topics. People get some more information. We are actually going to do some videos about hop additions very soon. All the different times, take you through the whole thing. But for this, I've put my hop and I'm stirring it around. I'm kind of whirlpooling. Now that should be enough. I'm talking 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half. That's all you need to get it in there, and you already see that it's there. So take my cup and I pour it in here. Wow, that's amazing. The amount of hops on there and just those 3 pellets for that amount is amazing. So what I'm also going to do is I can always add a little bit of neutral spirit. Grain alcohol or vodka, 80 proof. We're talking about a dash, just to get the heat off of there, because we're not adding any yeast to this. If we add a yeast to it, we're going to lose some of just the hop flavor. All we're looking for is how does it play with a single malt and the hop. Now, once you do that, now like I said, it's 9 o'clock here in Marietta, Georgia. Not really feeling like drinking some vodka this early in the morning. You can call me whatever you'd like, but that's how it's going to go. I smell it. Oh wow, I'm getting nice pine flavors, a little bit of citrus notes, like Rhine-ish almost. I really do like Calypso. And then you can taste it. It's amazing how much the taste is there. I didn't leave it in there very long, and the reason why is I was trying not to get the over bitter, but I did want some of those flavor profiles in there. This is an easy way to do this, and a great way, once again, to share out with your home brew club. Share our videos with them. We don't care. We really want to build this community, and if your home brew club has an educational piece and it's just not a bunch of guys sitting around drinking, kind of pointing fingers at each other, you're all going to learn and you're all going to gain at the same time. This is a lot of fun, and I hope you've learned a lot on this. So that's hop teas. Really simple way for you to get to know all of your different kinds of hops that you're using, especially new ones that you haven't tried. 1 or 2 pellets out of a pack before you start to brew will always work. Our next video, like I said, is going to be on 4 different Omega yeasts. Omega is out of Chicago, Illinois. I love them. We have them on our website. Check us out. And as I always say, please, please, please follow us, subscribe. We could really use your subscriptions. Make a comment, really love that. Also, check us out on the Motley Brew, M-O-T-L-E-Y-B-R-U podcast. We're on both iTunes and on Google Play. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. My email, everything's down there. Love to talk to you, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.